If you're used to Story being early in our service, I've moved things around a little bit today, because I want to talk about our topic for the day, which is centering care. Our theme for this month is practicing liberating love through the practice of inclusion. And I think inclusion is an interesting concept that can be a little heady at times. So I want us to bring it down into the practice part of inclusion. And I've been struggling with and playing with for a few years now, rewiring my own brain around capitalism. Right? How many of you have brains that are wired to think in a capitalistic way? I would guess that most of us do to some extent, whether we realize it or not, just because we live in this society that is saturated in capitalism. But there are other narratives and other cultures that practice relationship and community care and abundance in very different ways than the majority culture does here in the US. And so for me, this has been a challenge for the last few years to try to pick out and weed out all the ways in which my brain automatically goes into transactions. Right? Goes into how much am I paying and what am I getting back from whatever it is that I'm doing. This exchange being based in a tit-for-tat system. But recently, one of our groups here has started reading a book called Serviceberry, which is the second book from Robin Wall Kimmerer, who did Braiding Sweetgrass, if some of you are familiar with that book. She may have done others, but I think those are the two big ones. And she's an ecologist. So she does a lot of work with nature. She's also a person who is native to the US, whose ancestors have been on this land for a long time. And she comes with a very different cultural lens to looking at ecology. And in this book, Serviceberry, she applies some of her ecological observations and her cultural understanding of abundance and reciprocity to economics, which is very heady, but also really interesting. And one of the things that she talks about is this tradition, this ritual of potlatches. Has anyone ever heard the term potlatch before? I see a couple nods. I'd heard it, but I couldn't remember what it was. I'm going to give y'all a refresher too. So potlatches are traditional gatherings, often around celebrations. The example she uses is birthdays, where in majority white culture in the US, for birthdays, we expect to be given gifts, right? We throw a party and everybody brings gifts for us. Well, at a potlatch, it's the opposite. It is a time of ritualized giving for the gratitude of the abundance that we have in our lives. So Native folks will gather in these rituals of celebration and give away some of their most prized items to one another, knowing that, again, this ritual will happen in those folks' lives, and these items of value will be passed around the community over and over again as they express abundance and connection between people. And I thought this is a fascinating idea, a completely different way of understanding how to share abundance. And she, in talking about this ritual, she talks about the ways that it has changed. And she says, this ritualized redistribution of wealth was banned by colonial governments under the influence of missionaries in the 1800s. Potlatches were seen as contrary to the civilized values of accumulation. and undermined the notions of individual property and advancement essential to assimilation to the colonial agenda. That's a lot. Does anyone want me to read that again? Yeah, I had to read it a few times when I first heard it. She says, this ritualized redistribution of wealth was banned by colonial governments under the influence of missionaries in the 1800s. Potlatches were seen as contrary to the civilized values of accumulation and undermined the notion of individual property and advancement essential to assimilation to the colonial agenda. It's a lot to take in 2 sentences. If we are truly dedicated to the practice of inclusion, to the practice of liberating love, that means we are working against capitalism and colonialism in their incarnations in this country. And there are so many examples of the ways that those forces have come in and destroyed our ability to do community care for one another, have destroyed cultures who run at the antithetical to what it is they are trying to do with the power and control. I think it's no accident that most of the systems we see Donald Trump trying to destroy right now are systems of abundance. They are systems that give to people, systems that provide services, whether that is international aid, whether that is our education system, whether that is healthcare that truly meets the needs of all people, whether that is a recognition of the spirit of each person, regardless of what our bodies may look like. That this is not a new pattern. And it may not seem like much to practice community care, to be gracious and abundant in the way that we give and relate to one another. But hearing about potlatches makes me remember just how radical an act it is to give and be generous, and how much that ties into inclusion. Because it goes against the idea that the individual is what is important, and instead ties us together in bonds of community, in bonds of reciprocity, knowing that I will be generous when I am able, with the understanding that you will also be generous when you are able. And to recognize that each of us have different needs, to help one another meet each other's needs and see one another in our fullness. We will see if I can get through this book without crying. I usually can't. But it's a wonderful example of what community care can look like. If we have time after this, I am going to invite you all to share ways in which you have done or have seen community care happen in your own life as well. So, intersection allies. We make room for all. Witness the lives of a bold group of friends. And I can't see the images well enough. But I can on here. it's one of those mornings. We are tech challenged today. There we go. Read. Now we can zoom. It's worth the wait, I promise. Witness the lives of a bold group of friends. If one is in need, another defends. Age is one trait that all of them share, but kids' lives are unique, as you'll soon be aware. Each child has a story and their own point of view, filled with passion and power, just like you. My name is Alejandra, but I go by Ali. I use a chair, but it doesn't define me. Instead, it allows me to zip, glide, and play. When I need to get through, my friends help make a way. Where there's room for some, we make room for all. Friends can be allies, no matter how small. Hello, I'm Parker. After school every day, Allie's family takes care of us both while we play. My mom works hard to provide for me. Her love's the source of our stability. Not toys or money, nor treasures untold, community care is more precious than gold. Skirts and frills are cute, I suppose, but my superhero cape is more Kate than those bows. Some may be confused that a kid like me can wear what I want and be proud and carefree. My friends defend my choices and place. A bathroom, like all rooms, should be a safe space. My name is Adila, and just like Kate, what I wear inspires endless debate. Some give, some chant, some sing, some pray. My hijab is my choice. You can choose your own way. The clothes that you wear never justify hatred. Clothes can be playful, simple, or sacred. Covered, adorned, or with casual flair, my body's my own. I dress it with care. My name is Nia, and with what's on the news, it's easy to be frightened or sing the blues. For her, for them, for him, and for me, we all deserve to breathe and be free. The color of our skin is no reason to hide. We protest for safety, equality, and pride. Our friends join along in solidarity and love. This is the stuff that allies are made of. Safety also includes our trees and air, the land we've called home, our places of prayer. I'm Dakota, and like my ancestors, my tribe and I are water protectors. From profit and power, we stand up to preserve our nations, our cultures, and the respect we deserve. My name is Gloria, y tengo 7 años. After school, it's to la fruteria I go. Trabajo cada día junto a mi madre. Vendemos piña dolce y mangos con chile. My language and savvy allow us to thrive. I've got hopes and dreams and skills and drive. Working together makes us both more secure. I'm a daughter, a partner, and an entrepreneur. My name is Hee-jung, and I was born in Seoul. I moved here when I was 5 years old. I'm part of what's called the 1.5 generation. My parents and I span 2 different nations. Like Gloria, I am a help to my mother by translating for her one word to another. When the landlord tells Mom, "You can pay me next Friday," I repeat in Korean, which I cannot pronounce. Does anyone know how to pronounce the Korean? Nope. I'm not going to mangle it, but you can read it up there. We navigate life in our own new home together because kids have the skills to make every day better. My name is Yuri, and I'm new to this place. Hee-jung's family welcomed me with love and with grace. Finding refuge meant traveling far from home. I sailed, I flew, I rode, and I roamed. Escaping violence, war, heartache, and intrusion, we came to this nation seeking dreams and inclusion. From near, from far, from here, from there, we're more than our origins. We all deserve care. Race, religion, citizenship, and ability, each of these intersects to form identity. Age, gender, size, and skin color, too, can make living life different for a friend than for you. Barriers and biases are often to blame. We strive to be equal, but not all the same. Life's ups and downs can take many forms, but standing together, we'll rewrite the norms. Where there's room for some, we make room for all. Friends can be allies, no matter how small.